14. And it's our second Friday episode as well, and totally unscripted, totally unrehearsed. I've no real idea what we're going to do tonight. I go off the little title that I put, and I've called it Doorways, so I suspect we're going to do something about the doorways on the space station, but we'll see. See where we get to anyway. I know there's a few people in the chats already, so hello to all of those that have been arguing about Danny not being first this time. It's a bit of a shame, that, Danny. Right. Well, where did we leave off? We actually left off by creating a rather complicated chunk of logic. In fact, it was this complicated. And if we were to label complexity in computer programming, don't use an O number, use a bracket number. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this would be a bracket 7 level complexity algorithm. Saladin, hello! And what this did was to check if the module we were placing on the space station was overlapping anything that already existed as part of the space station. And all I did after the stream was just sort of refactor this into a nice convenient function we can reuse. So there is some little room for improvement later on. I'm not going to worry about that tonight. Alex, hello. Dandestein is here, yep. Saucy63, Apostolisk, hello. Good, and yes, if you've been reading the chat, you'll see that I have actually got some songs stuck in my head at the moment. I can't seem to get them out, so maybe that'll distract me from the programming. Getting rid of nested for loops can be quite hard. Well, I don't necessarily see a problem of nested for loops here. The big problem, I think, is that it is a brute force solution, but it's a quick one, right? And it'll also exit quickly as well. So as soon as it's found any state that's not compatible, and that's going to be pretty quick, then it's going to just return true. It's done. It's done its job, and it worked. It worked quite nicely. It allowed us to place modules of the space station sort of anywhere in space for a specific grid. Now, so we can click on there, and we can rotate the shape, and if it overlaps in any way, it goes red and we can't place the module. Now we just can click as much as I like, it won't put it there. But it's fine for us to put modules. And I actually spent quite a bit of time trying to tessellate this shape. I was trying to work out what are the interesting ways of being able to sort of fill an area with this shape specifically. It's quite an addictive thing. It made me think of potentially a game in its own right. Who have we got so far? So, okay, yes, Christoph, hello. Slice, hello. Joe Pitsy, evening. 13 Digits, hello. Dragon Eyes here as well. Slice is not a moderator on Twitch. That's correct. Not anything on Twitch. No. Spin-off game in the horizon. Yeah. It was really quite addictive. You've got to try and fill in as much as you can without sort of destroying the pattern. Now, I worked out that you could go with this shape in sort of diagonals quite easy, but you can't turn corners very easily. There we are, the things we do for fun on this channel. We're not limited to the grid with the technique. Oh, I've ruined it now because I'm not going to delete or anything. The grid that we've got here was just a 20 by 20 grid that happens to be centered around 0, because 0 happens to be the middle of our solar system. There it is. And it was raised at some point, people sort of thinking that the whole universe is going to be a grid. No, it's not. No, this is just a grid template for one particular space station at this location. But we want to move on now from placing the modules to actually sort of placing things that are compatible with where the doors are. Now, we did come up with a draft specification for graphics on the Discord server. And I've gone away and created some door graphics. They're not particularly exciting door graphics. And I mentioned in the last stream that they've got a problem that they are shaded with light. And that's no good. They need to be rendered as normal maps. And a couple of people have had a go at trying to make some normal maps. I'm not going to use those just yet because I'm not pulling in the pixel shader. But tonight I've created 4 coloured doors. We've got a yellow one, a red one, a green one, and a blue one. Just to identify which one's which, because if we start rotating things are going to get a little bit complicated. So I think that's where we're going to start. We're going to load up these door graphics and start drawing them in the correct locations. Is it possible, viable, easy to use higher order functions in C++? So you could theoretically make hexagonal tiles. Well, yeah, I suppose it is. Hexagonal tiles are not too complicated to do. Trolled Woods, hello. Hermes, hello. And oh, we've got a little, like, I don't know, a little emoji type thing has appeared. I've not seen those in the Twitch chat before. There we go. Speedy, nope, you're not first. Julian, hello. So let's load these graphics up. What did I actually call those files? I've already forgotten. It was module door east, module door north, module door south, and module door west. Okay, we'll load those as renderables. I'll just close this down, hadn't I? Where are we going to load these? So I've still not yet partitioned this main program. It's getting there slowly. And we were going to load up some assets here. And I think what I'll do is load these assets. These are the door ones. These are going to be consistent all over the place. So let's load these up first. I've already forgotten what we said they were called. I think it was module, door, and then something. And we'll load them. Do we want to load them in a specific order? Yeah, maybe. North, east, south, and west. There we go. Ooh, something went ping. Thank you. 5,000. That has repositioned the actual module graphic that we're using, although we were not going to be using that longer term because it doesn't necessarily reflect the shape of the satellite that we're building. So this has now become position 4 for our modules. We've got these 3 graphics and we need to sort of position a door. So I'm going to start by just simply having a single... No, I'll tell you what, we'll make it a little bit more sophisticated. A single sort of base module might just be a plus shape. Now, on the top one, we have a... Now, I've forgotten the order already. Let's find the space station. Space station. There we go. Space station. So we said 1, 2, 4, 8, going clockwise. That's okay, as long as we're consistent with how we're putting this together. Main game. So that, it would be our northern door. That would be our eastern. That would be our southern. And that would be our western door. And there's no door on the one in the middle. 4760, hello. Gruffler, hello. Never eat shredded wheat was the one I learned. Yeah, I think I awkwardly learned it as news, which doesn't really apply at all, does it? Unless you're doing... what's that special... this is going to be annoying. What is the pathway called when you're navigating a quad tree in sort of... It's like a... It's a way of navigating quad trees in a linear fashion, and it's something like... it's like a load of Zs, but it has a fancy name. It's not like Morgan Z or something like that. There's a theory behind it anyway, which allows you to traverse the branches of a quad tree very quickly. Somebody will shout that out, I know. The chat egg, why are you always late? Some people are just always late. Are you one of those people? I suspect you might be. So, I've now put in bits for those additional doors. We need to now be sensitive to these bits and draw the doors in the right place. But this gets more complicated because potentially we are rotating our space station as well. So we just need to keep that in mind. And that's where we're probably going to get a bit logic stuck today. Because I've had a long day today. I've been busy, been soldering all day. And you might think, well, that seems pretty easy, but it's tricky when they're tiny, tiny components. These are all 0603s and TSOC packages, and I've got a sore neck because I've been staring down the microscope. Couldn't you just push all the leaves nodes into a queue and traverse like that? No, there's a specific thing. Hang on, what's it called? Quad tree traverse Zs, something like that. Z-order curve. There we go. Right, that's what I was looking for. So Z-order curves. A very interesting thing, Z-order curves. Yeah, there we go, Danderstein. You got it. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff because they're sort of a very efficient way of getting... Old School J just subscribed. Thank you very much. That's much appreciated. It does actually mean quite a bit when people are subscribing, particularly since I've sort of slowly moving from YouTube to Twitch in this strange way. So it's a good thing. Thank you very much. Yes, Z order curves. Morton curves. That's what I said. I said Morgan, didn't I? Morton. That was the word I was looking for. Anyway, nice, very simple way of representing a quad tree and then accessing its elements efficiently. We've got... that was True Tony's gifting us of getting all these sort of things. I'm still learning this. And Oyoy, or Zero Yoy, thank you very much for your subscription too. Yeah, that's it, Christoph. It's a way of interleaving the address to get you a specific location in a quad tree. Maybe worth a video at some point. I have got a video about quad trees lined up, and I think we might include some of that. It does have some advantages. Anyway, interesting article, and it works for oct trees, of course, as well. Anyway, back to what we were doing. We'll code for food. Yes. Sure you would, Alex. I'm currently coding for Vimto, as usual. Hot Vimto, too. And none of the sugar-free rubbish tonight. This is the full-fat Vimto. Was I using real solder? Unfortunately, I can't use real solder. I do actually have to sell these things, so I need to be ROS compliant. Did you see the new design of Vimto? No. That would mean I'm paying attention. You need to gain weight, Alex. I have seen a picture of you, Alex. Yes, you do. Right. Where was I up to? I've completely lost it. We were up to putting doors on. So we need to draw these doors. Let's just try and hack that in first, and we'll take it from there, I suppose. Come on, double click. Oh yeah, I'm on the main game file. That's why it's not changing. Update satellites. Where are we drawing our satellites? Here we were drawing our satellites. And this was just drawing the cell, if it existed. Now, we'll come back to that in a bit, because hopefully tonight, if we can sort the doors out quick enough, we'll start looking at the overall graphic for the satellite too. But we want to choose specific doors. Now, I'm just going to brute force these in for now. So if n cell, and we know that for north, it was 1. So if we've got a bit there, we're going to draw, excuse me, draw our decal in exactly the same location as our cell. This could get a little bit repetitive, but this time the assets is we're going to choose it deliberately. So that's a 0 there, because it was the first one we're adding. Okay, I think that's all we need. So let's put in a few more of these. 1, 2, 4, and 8. And this became 1, 2, and 3. Now, that's drawing it for the space station that already exists. We also need to draw it for our new cursor. We'll come back to that in a minute, because I think we're reusing a lot of code here, and we might want to work on this function and then sort of package it up into the cursor drawing code too. So I've got a ping on the Discord server. I have to check if it's important or not, and it is thoroughly unimportant, Saladin. Thank you. Is there a stream schedule? Yes, Tuesday is 8 o'clock GMT, so, well, 15 minutes ago, but on Tuesdays, and tonight at 8 o'clock, and potentially Sunday afternoon, so that one is random. That one may happen, it may not. And I think I've got a theme for this Sunday, because it doesn't necessarily have to be about the space station stuff, the Sunday stream. And that's going to be, there's been an interesting sort of bug discovered in Pixel Game Engine, and it's kind of a bug in the fact that somebody wants it and I took it out. And maybe I kind of regret taking it out because it was actually a feature I liked too, but it solved another problem. So we might discuss that a bit on Sunday rather than tonight. So we'll keep tonight about the space station theme. You could apply for a ROS exemption. I can't, I'm afraid. Sorry. Aren't Brits supposed to drink tea? Well, yes, I do drink a lot of tea, but occasionally I like a Vimto too. What is this vModule template? Could you quickly summarize what it does for dumper people who have never used quad trees? Don't worry, we're not using a quad tree either at the moment. Everything at the moment is very simplistic stuff, but unfortunately I'm not going to go running through every single bit of code that I've written up to now. We're 13 episodes in. But fundamentally, it's a set of ready-made shapes which are going to represent the shapes of bits of space station. So the space station could be a T shape, could be an L shape, could be a square, could be a long piece like in Tetris, that sort of thing. And we're going to fasten together clusters of these shapes to form interesting space stations. And the space stations are going to have functions. And so this is just a nice way of representing that physical shape, which we can use for collision detection when we're placing the space station components, and it also contains information about what doors are available to look at. And that's exactly what we're working on now. We're going to try rendering these doors. I just need to remember where I am up to. Where did I just put in all of those if statements? Was it up here? There it was. So I've just thrown in now this drawing of these door graphics if that bit is set. Now, the challenge here is, well, maybe it's not going to be. Yes, it is going to be a problem. Is we need to account for rotation. So let's just see if anything happens at all to begin with. Have we got a bug? Have I loaded the graphics from the right place? We'll take it from there. Yeah, 8 PM UTC plus 1. I think it's GMT plus 1 or BST at the moment. Oh, hang on. It crashed. Why have we got a crash? What's going on? Didn't even see what the error message was. We had some sort of read access violation. Let's just run that again. Why did it crash? Let's have a look at our call stack. So it's on update satellite mode. It's here. That's interesting. Have I specified the wrong value graphic for our assets vector? Our assets vector only has one thing in it. Have I done something? I've done something stupid here, haven't I? In where we're loading the graphics. There we go. Yes. That's not going to work at all. So this is a shocking hack to make it so we can load graphics very quickly. See, you're learning sort of all my dirty secrets here is that I actually write terrible code on the whole and then go away and sort it all out. I just want to make it work first, and that's important for me. Right, there we go. We've now got our grid. So you can see that I took the bottom of the cruciform out to form just this plus shape of the space station. So now when we click, and we can see that it has drawn doors in the locations that we wanted the doors to be drawn. So that's quite nice. And the idea being is we can click things together and, doors and stuff will line up and form interesting structures. That's the plan. But we only want it to be valid to place the shapes when doors can line up. So that's the second half of the algorithm. But the next part of the problem is if I rotate the shape. Yes, so if I rotate the shape, it's put the doors in a strange orientation. Now, when I rotated that shape, it rotated clockwise. So we can see here, if I move my mouse out the way, this shape here has a door to the north, which is the red door, and we rotated that round. It's still got a door to the north, but now it's rotated. That should really be a door to the east in this instance. So we also need to rotate all of these doors. Pinhead Larry, hello. What are you using to load your assets? Not very much. Load would be better as a Lambda. Well, later I'll move it to a proper asset manager, I think. But for now, it's just storing stuff. And you notice there's a slight difference to the way that I'm doing things. For those that sort of know how I code now, and there are a couple of you out there, I'm usually an OOP guy, object-oriented programming. But this system, this project, I'm veering towards more of like a data design approach. So that's why I'm kind of storing things as indices instead of objects and links and pointers and that kind of thing. We'll get there. Gregory, what do you think of F#? Not much. The current tiles don't seem to make too much sense for this. Yes, that is quite right. But the community and those who are generating graphics, I will use them on these streams. Why not? I should probably change this graphic because Gruffler's produced quite a few of them now. Yes, the graphic doesn't make any sense, and the graphic structure doesn't make any sense, and we've not yet dealt with that. So right now it's just this single square which we're drawing in the middle, and that's not how these things are going to be formed anyway. Data design is basically you have everything in arrays and pools, and you just index into them where necessary. So you can create interesting sort of shapes and clusters of objects by just storing a bunch of indices together. Right, so what are we doing about rotating these doors? So we need to understand how rotation works. So when we're rotating clockwise, we're rotating the door value. We're rotating that left. Whenever we rotate clockwise, we rotate the door value left. Is that right? Well, let's try it. So, I'm going to go down to where we're drawing the doors. I'm going to keep losing this, aren't I? There we go. So I'm checking to see if the cell exists. That's fine. That's going to cause us a bit of a headache, I think. Sort of looking into the future a bit here. These are now not the same as they were before. Let's have a think about this. So if we've got our uint 8 that represents this particular cell, our rotation is slightly different. Rotated cell is actually going to be our cell value plus ANDed with the bottom 4 bits, which represents our door state. I'm not interested in the 16-bit state at the moment. Because what I might do is Dreamcuber, 2 months. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Dreamcuber, the game console that never was. I don't fully get the objective of this game, even after attending a full stream about it. Excellent. That's exactly how it should be. We're literally making it up as we go along. At the moment, I think the best way to think about it is it's going to be like a SimCity in space. So we're going to be building these space stations and then sort of connecting all of the logistics around. So space stations may have a specific input set and an output set, and they'll produce resources which other things need, and that will then maintain your space army, population, whatever it's going to be. So that's the plan. Of course SimCity 4 rather than SimCity 5. Don't even count SimCity 5. Andy S. Hi Javid. You love the YouTube videos, but I take the concepts and use them in C#. I'd love to follow along more closely, but I've never used C++. Can you tell me why to use C++? Why to use C++? It's you can do anything in C++. That's really the key. You can genuinely do anything in it. And C, of course. C#, nothing wrong with C# at all, but it is fundamentally it is a virtual machine running language. You are working on a level of abstraction away from the hardware. So you kind of C# has these sort of nice big safety net around you whilst you're using it, or supposed to. C++ therefore doesn't have that, and it has a performance increase as a side effect of not having these safety restrictions. But of course it doesn't have these safety restrictions, and that's half the fun, I think. Yeah, exactly, Apostolic. So I think that's where we're going to end up going with this. It's a rotation of the 4 bits. Number, it's going to be based upon how much we've actually rotated. So that's where I'm going with this. And I just need to think about the the way of doing this. So I'm sure there's some clever sort of XOR magic I'm thinking here that we could be doing for this. Should I think about this a bit more? Could we actually facilitate this fixed rotation with XOR? I don't know, but I'm going to brute force it. I'm literally just going to sit in a loop and rotate 4 times. So for int, what are we going to have? I. We've not used I equals 0. I is less than our current rotation for that module. There we go. I++. Now for each rotation, what do we want to do? We want to take our current rotated cell, and we want to take the leftmost bit of that, which is actually the 4th bit. So we're going to take a rotated cell. We're going to take the 4th bit of that, which is 0x08, which gives us our 4th bit, and we're going to shove that into rotated cell, shifted all 1, that's it. We'll all that in there. And then it's important to take all of that and crop it effectively like that. Is that right? Is that going to be our rotation? So I'm taking the most significant bit, which is in our 4-bit number. It's there. I'm sticking that. I'm rotating everything to the left 1 bit, and I'm sticking that bit that we've taken at the other side, and then I'm cropping it. Yeah, I think that looks okay. Boom, 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 boom. Technically, you can do unsafe C#. Yeah, where's the fun? Well, the nice thing, what I hope people can take from the videos is I try to write them in a way where I don't necessarily use all of the specific features of the C++ language. And I could make the argument that that's a deliberate design choice, but it could also be that I don't know the more advanced features of the C++ language. But the idea being is you can take the code and apply it to other things. It's getting a little trickier though now that as I sort of it's creeping into my daily routine, you see, to use slightly more modern ideas, and that's making it a little bit more difficult to write code. So I'm thinking for future videos that I might revert back a little bit to an older style of C++, just to keep it platform agnostic, because I think people appreciated that actually in the videos. The more recent ones, I'm abusing lambdas and built-in std functions and that sort of thing. Just powers through algorithms. The worst part is, Digits, is when I'm not streaming and I'm writing an algorithm. It's exactly like this. I'm just talking at the screen, talking to myself, empty room. So that's done our rotation there for the rotated cell. So I guess, excuse me, we now want to sort of upgrade this a little bit. So this is going to be if rotated cell and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Is there, but I only want to do that if there is actually a cell at all to draw, which is the case there. And I guess I only really want to do this rotation if there's a cell to draw. Right, have I completely messed up all of that? Let's take a look. I tell you what we'll do, because it was difficult to see if the shape was rotating. I will just make it a cruciform shape again, so it's got sort of an uneven side, and I'll make this one the bottom and change that there. So that is now it's a non-symmetrical shape. Well, it's got 1 axis of symmetry rather than 2. That n-rotated cell and 0x08 doesn't look good. Why doesn't it look good? What's wrong with it? Uh, 8 is the 4th bit along, and we know that there's only 4 bits that represent doors. It is the carry, because this is currently the bit on the leftmost side, which on the next update of rotated cell, which happens after we've done all of this, is where it gets put in. Let's try it. You could be right. Let's try it. You know, doing bitwise stuff live is always fraught with excitement. So let's bang in our shape there. So we can actually see, yes, okay, it's got its door. So let's rotate this one. Okay, well, that door has worked. That door has worked. That one has worked, but I feel it's drawing two doors there. However, our northern door hasn't worked. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting there to sort of be, it kind of works most of the time. Let's flip it upside down. Oh dear. Everything's becoming the wrong way around. This does kind of look like we're shifting the information out, so maybe Apostolis, maybe you're right. All the doors are blue, exactly, yes. So all the doors have, so we've sort of shifted that information out of the, yeah, are you shifting into 5th bit now? Right, why did the carry not quite work? It's okay if we shift into the 5th bit, because I'm supposed to be taking that 4th bit. So what are we supposed to be doing? Let's draw it out so we know what we're doing. So we're starting off with something that looks a bit like this. Let's simplify it and put it like that. So that's got two doors. And then taking the rotated cell and the 8th bit, which is that one. Shift is 3 times to the left. Why is it 3 times to the left? We're going from north. Did my doors rotate the wrong way? We're going from north to so we're rotating clockwise. So we're going from a north door becomes a eastern door, which means the 1 should get shifted over to the 1. And we actually did see that happen. The problem happened on that 4th configuration, so maybe it is something that we're not carrying the bit over. So let's place a normal one. There we go. And we do 1 rotation. So that one worked, that one worked, that one worked. This one, however, didn't. So the blue door, which is traditionally a western door, which would be our most significant bit, didn't rotate. Everybody going left and right, left, right. Should it be? No, because F would be... Right, we've got our bits here, so when we're actually sampling our bits, this is going to be 8, this is going to be 4, this one's going to be 2, and that one's going to be 1, right? So I want to take that bit and stick it at the bottom of whatever that is, rotated left to the 1. Ah, there we go, Apostolisk. Yes, you're right. We've shifted that over there, so we actually do need to put that one back. That's it. That's the difference that we've made there. What I could have done instead is we could actually use the regular and there. It's a bit of a horrible hack. So this can sort of decay into a 0 or 1, which would be the same. But let's stick with let's stay in this modality here. Okay, right. That feels a little bit better. Right, let's try this. Go. So we'll click a rotation. There we go. That looks better. Rotation, and let's draw another one there. So all of our upward facing doors are now facing upwards. Nice, like it, good. Okay, so can we then, just to prove a point, if I right click there, so now we see we get doors which are lining up with each other sort of consistently depending on what the space station component looks like. We also need to draw these doors as part of the cursor. So massive props to Apostolisk there. We should actually create a stuff to do file. We should include here celebrate. What? Why have I got caps lock on? Celebrate Apostolisk's awesomeness. There we go. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the .NET way of doing things either. There was a horrible experiment. I don't know if it still exists. Somebody can shout out. Does C++.NET still exist? Is that still a thing? I hope that's not still a thing. It does. Oh dear. So I think what we'll do next, since the graphics are sort of becoming a critical part of understanding what we're trying to do here, maybe that's the next part, is to finally replace Gruffler's module graphic with something that represents kind of that shape. And I think we'll stick with this cruciform shape for the time being. So we need to draw this out appropriately. Let's go to New. Now it's going to be 3 cells wide by 4 cells tall, so I want that to be 768 cells wide by 1024 pixels tall. Let's try that. And I'm going to stick on my grid here because that makes life a little bit easier. And for whatever reason, Affinity, you drive me nuts with this. Why do you not choose the grid I was using last time? I don't know. But we need to choose something a little bit more readily available. 64 by 64 tiles. Is that what I want? 16 by 16. I had to fill this in last time, didn't I? 16. Let's save this off this time as a preset. So 16 by 16 tiles. Fine. And where was this save? Create preset. Excellent. Space thing. Right. Actually, I could do with changing that preset just a little bit. I've just forgotten where I did that now. Where did I do that? Grid and Access Manager. There we go. Divisions. Actually, I'm going to set this to be 256. So this is going to be the full cells. And this is going to be... There we go. That's better. Fine. Just one moment, please. I'm being summoned. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Sorry about that, the cloning chamber was summoning me. Quick hack the stream. Right, so yes, what I want to do now, I want to explain how the graphics are going to work. So we built this little template, which suggested that all of the cells were 256 by 256, except for a 16-pixel boundary where we're going to have the doors. So for our cruciform shape, for example, I'm going to draw in a big rectangle. Like that. And we'll colour that rectangle in... where do I fill? We'll just colour that for now. Not in greys, we'll pick some nice colours. We'll pick sort of a nice shocking pink. Why not? Shocking pink was popular on a previous stream. There we are, magenta, yes. Right, so what we'll do from there is also create another one of these and sort of squeeze this into being the... I don't know what that part of a cruciform is called, the horizontal section anyway. So these are the individual cells that Gruffler had been creating before, but when you actually start to form space station modules like this, it's not quite the same. It's more like how I'm doing it here. So I could add some 3D effects and things to this to make it a little bit more impressive than a pink rectangle. But that will have a slight problem. That as it's rotating, the light won't be accurate. And I don't want to have to sort of render the same thing from 4 different rotations, because as it's rotating around in space, it's an arbitrary rotation. So that's why it's kind of important that ultimately we render these things with normal maps, and we'll probably worry about that in an episode in the future. But for now, let's do that, and let's export this image. Just make sure the background is transparent. It is. So export. Now, the thing that I don't know how to do yet is how we're going to sort of reference where this exists relative to the spatial structure that we've put behind it. So where are all these doors and the collision platforms and all that sort of thing? So we're going to have to worry about that later. So I'm going to call this one module cruciform.png. It's a big image. This isn't quite full-on magenta. I've took the edge off it. Does Affinity Photo have a method to make normal maps for some simple shapes? Possibly. I think there's probably some clever blending you can do, and probably you can do something with the procedural generator. But I've not dug into it. No, you see, that's the thing, Gruffler. No, that's what I'm saying. In individual cells, I mean, those sorts of modules will exist, but not necessarily all of them. Because if you think about what you might want, for example, a solar panel array. So you don't want to be building those out of individual squares all the time. Instead, we can build them as one big image, and it makes the image a little bit more realistic if we're going down that route. Or it allows you to have bigger platforms. So if I wanted like a landing platform for 6 spacecraft, I need that to be sort of some cohesive thing rather than a bunch of individual cells. Right, so I've created that. Let's load this asset. So it's time to say, sadly, but hopefully not forever, it's time to say bye-bye Gruffler. And hello, Cruciform. Now, the problem we've got is if we just render that straight up, it's a complete mess. It's not how we've sort of been doing things so far. See? There we go. It's a complete horrible mess because basically for every single cell it's rendering that decal. You can see it's putting the doors in the wrong place. Nothing is relative to where it should be. It's kind of cool, but fundamentally it's broken. So we need a way of loading in the one graphic asset for this space station module component. Then we also need to find a way of actually excuse me, rendering it in the right place. Bolvar's dad, hello. And Comish, I didn't see there. Hello. Pog Turno, hello. I didn't know you were on Twitch too. Well, I'm doing a bit more Twitch this year. Blazar 740112. You have an OWL all access path. I have no idea what any of this means. When I used to sort of stream to Twitch semi-regularly, it was very much... it was basically everybody typing in Kappa for an hour. Right, so how do we associate this mapping with the graphics that we've just loaded? Well, firstly, we don't want... Oh, dear me. It's definitely not COVID. Definitely not COVID. We want to draw... So here we're drawing per cell. Now, that's no longer what we want. Instead, we want to draw this one instance for the decal. So I'm going to take that one out, just for the time being. I'm not going to line up the doors. And I'm going to draw you just the once. And just also, for now, I'm just going to draw you at the 0, 0 location. So we're not drawing per cell. Okay, there you go. So that's quite a big difference from what we were doing before. And I'll also need to just do the same for down here, because the cursor is also different now. We also need to think about rotation, because we need to rotate the decal, but around what? The center of rotation hasn't yet been defined. So these are new things we're probably going to have to add to our module structure. But let's just see if we can get it to draw one thing at a time right now. What position have we got here? This is where the cursor is, so it's actually that horrible mess there that we need, isn't it, for you? Yes, because we're using the tile transformed view in the background to handle the sort of tile space aspect to the world. So there's literally nothing else to render there. That's actually really simplified, drawing the cursor. We'll need to come back to that when we're drawing the doors later. Right, so hopefully we've just got a single instance, and it won't be in the right place, and it might be the wrong rotation. But yes, there we go. And if I click... It's put the doors there, but you can see it's offset by a certain amount, and if I rotate, it's still doing the same thing. We've not actually got any kind of center point of rotation, but we can start to see now that the doors sort of fill that gap that I've put around the edge there, which is kind of what I wanted. Back in the day I did NES randomizers, maybe a bit earlier than that even. You're the person that got me into C++ programming. Oh dear. Later you got an internship at an embedded systems company doing circuit soldering and coding algorithms for wireless modules. Oh, thank. Well, that sounds really interesting. I mean, I was just saying before, I've been soldering all day today. So if you become a C++ programmer, you also become a solderer, it would seem. That's good. Any other solderer stroke C++ programmers in the chat? Put your hands up, please. Notice how Javid and COVID end in the same 3 letters. Yes, hands up. Excellent, good stuff. So let's work out what we're doing with this offset. So I know that crudely, for a given module, I need to store some additional information, which is where is this graphic overlaid with this template. So my cruciform, fundamentally, the graphic is actually starting up here. Let me just zoom in, sorry, forgot about that. The graphic is there, you can see the cruciform shape, and my sprite, if I use the Alt key there, the image is going to overlay that section of the map. So I want to sort of offset to that coordinate there. So I need to store along now with the graphic that I'm using what its offset is going to be. So let's just try that. That's going to be, is it just 1 and 1 for now? Now, I've just thrown that in there, but my module itself doesn't actually have any knowledge of what I mean. So I need to go and add that. Module, and we're going to have const olc vi2d v offset. And we'll just need to fill in the fluff here a little bit. So we want to store this offset. I'll leave that as it is. And we'll need to put in a get offset as well, since we're doing things rather nice, rather posh with getters and setters at the moment. We'll see vi2d get offset. What are you? We don't have a thing, so let's bang you in the... Come on, there we are. Pop up, and we'll just return you. Very nice. I've started getting into the habit of using this sort of code-in-code functionality. I don't like it per se, because mainly when you're coding sort of at normal resolutions, which for me is about that, when I'm coding not for display, it doesn't actually show very much code. And I find that slightly annoying. Yes, you can drag the window to be a bit bigger, but then I find that it's showing too much code. I can never find a happy medium, so even though I've started to use this a bit more, I struggle with it. Oh, hang on, I've missed all sorts of things going on in the chat here. Will you want to connect modules without doors? Solar panels to... Well, the doors are not necessarily doors, okay? The doors are connection points. We're never going to sort of see things transport through the doors. The game's going to work sort of more zoomed out than that. The space station will exist, and what we'll see moving around are cargo ships, transport ships, weapon ships, that sort of things, moving all the resources around the space station, I think. Oh, you're a Cadence virtuoso. It's been a long time since I used Cadence. Oh, I'm so sorry, Dreamcube. Oh, thank you, Morris. Thank you very much. If you don't recognise Morris, those of you that use the Pixel Game Engine header file, you'll start to notice that Morris is one of the more significant contributors to the file. In fact, quite a few people in the chat are. Ooh, no, we don't say Verilog. Anything in OneLone Coder isn't done in Verilog. We use VHDL on this side of the pond. Sorry about that. Could you do a soldering stream and explain what you're doing? I could, but I'd have to take all my streaming gear into work. That would they wouldn't appreciate that. Oh, we've got some Cadence users. Wow, we're going up in the world. Right? We're no longer a bunch of ragamuffin programmers. We've actually got people with professional interests in technology. Right, so I've got this offset. Let's do something with it. Now, the fiddly part is the offset also needs to start sort of rotating around. So, but one step at a time. Let's just implement the offset as it is. Right now it's static, so we need to shove that where we're drawing, which is up here. So it's our position, which just simply cell 1 and 1. So that was our scale, wasn't it? There was our position. That's what I was looking for. So the position is there, plus, I'll see, VF2D. We'll do, what is it, m dot get offset. Oh, don't want the old semicolon in there. No, that's a bad idea. So that should draw now the thing in the right place. Let's copy that down into where we're drawing the cursor as well, which has already got this fun games of all these like hardcore constant offsets and things. But that's just positioning us up into the top left corner based on the mouse. So we can try that now. Right, so at least the cursor is now in the correct place. So the central cell here is the center of our collision map for this particular module. And if I click, it draws it in a sensible place. So let's draw some things. There we go. So we're starting to draw these sort of bits of world, and at the moment they're not physically connected to each other. That's going to come next. But what I want to disallow is sort of placing this module here because there are no connection points, and I think that will make for interesting shapes. So we'll have all sorts of different module shapes and things. And these are all going to be external in a Lua file, so we can easily modify these things. But just to keep it simple, I'm just working with the one shape whilst we debug all of this. Now, rotation is what's not working now. So I know that I can place that there, and it's rotating the doors, which we did pretty quickly. Now we need to get it to rotate this decal, and that's not anywhere near as simple as I was hoping it was going to be. Simply because the offset, the offset isn't in the same place each time. So we've got some people chatting about Pixel Game Engine here. What's going on? Do you have time to talk about our Lord and Saviour OLC Pixel Game Engine? I've obviously missed something that's going on here, but I'm not going to go scrolling back for now. We have, however, I've got chat paused due to scroll keeps popping up, which is rather annoying. Right. So how the hell do we rotate this thing? The rotation's tricky because it's not symmetrical. One simple, horrible answer would potentially be to turn this into a 5x5 image, and it just always reflects directly one-to-one relationship with what we're drawing. But that means these become very large, these graphics. 256 by 256 per cell is quite large for us to draw. So yeah, we need to think about how we're going to handle this offset. Let's just have a play with this image for a second. So when we rotate clockwise, we know that that is our center point. I think we probably also need additional information that says where is the center of rotation of this particular shape. And that way we can actually rotate our decal around that center of rotation, and that's it. That's all we need to do. So if we can hard code this whilst we've not got too much time left. So we can hard code this. This is we know that is going to be 0.5 across by it's a bit fiddlier coming down. What have we got going down? It's halfway between a quarter and a half. Yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, center of rotation is equal to the origin. Well, it's not equal to our origin of the offset that we put before. Yeah, that's my plan. You could mark the center cell and add 0.5. So that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. But when we're specifying this information to the decal renderer, we only know we've got 1 by 1. So yes, source C63 there with the calculation. Excellent. Yeah, so it's a 0.375 down, 0.5 across. So let's try this then. Quickly whilst we're still hacking at this. So the center of rotation, right, so what we'll do is we'll start by copying that line, but change this to draw rotated decal. And we'll start breaking this up because we know that that's the position. That horrible mess. We know that that is the asset that we want. Then it's angle, then it's center, then it's scale. So we want to add in here the angle. Now, for now, just as a placeholder, sticking you there. And the center, see, this is the problem. The center of rotation is also going to affect this drawing position. So we'll worry about that in a minute. What did we say that was going to be? So we're going to hard code this in for the time being. The center of rotation is going to be 0.5 by 0.375. But I think we're going to have to offset up when we're drawing it by that amount to make sure that it stays central to the cell that we're interested in. Or not, it would seem. Yeah, we'll worry about that when we start rotating it, I think. Rotating the modules is actually not too difficult. Physical rotation of them isn't that difficult, because if I now want to rotate it 90 degrees, which I do, so we want to go to rotation for this particular module, m.n. Where is our thing? It's our module. Where we got our cursor rotation? Have I missed out a? Where is that? MN module rotate, right, that's what I'm after. So this is our cursor. Yeah, MN, oh dear. MN module rotate. I'm doing this, do this the new way. It's module rotate divided by 4, is it? Yeah, times 2.0 times pi. Oh, I have no idea. Let's. It's probably going to rotate the wrong way now, but we'll see what happens. Let's have a look. So if I right-click, yeah, see, that's what I was a bit concerned about. It does actually sort of offset that rotation there. I do it again, up there, again, and back to where we started. But at least it's consistent. So this to me looks like that minus 2,2 is sort of interfering with where we want this to actually be. Where's the start of our graphic? Is the start of the graphic there? Yeah, so it's actually rotating around that point. Oh, I'm pointing at the screen again. You can't see where. Because if I move my mouse, then it's going to move the point. But it's actually always rotating around a point which is the top left of the overall decal image. So that's not the point of rotation that we want. The rotation is working, it's just in a horrible place. Let me just take out. Let me take that out. Now I'm even more confused. So that's rotating. Oh, excuse me. Shivix, hello. Yeah, draw rotated decal moves the origin. Doesn't it? Or have I got that totally wrong? Do I kind of want that to be... That's the point of origin for the rotation. But the position for it... I'm confusing myself. Right, so that is actually rotating around the cursor point. So the cursor is now accurate, but it's not. So it's not lined up with the middle of the shape. It shouldn't move the origin, otherwise the drawing of the planets won't work right. Yeah. But that's why I think we do need to subtract from here. I think it might just actually be that, right? Because we need to offset the graphic. Right, so that's the... Oh, now we're back at the start again. Oh, that's doing something weird. Berg 12, hello, fancy meeting me here. Not too surprising. We're currently struggling with trying to get this rotation to draw in the right place. And I need to think, is it a problem with our centre of rotation that's catching us out? Or is it a problem with the offset that we're specifying with where we're drawing the decal? I'm just going to... Yeah, it's a little bit more confusing than I think. Because we're taking into account another level of transformation, which is the current cell and the current mouse coordinate. Right, cell doesn't do anything, right? So it's purely just mouse. So where our mouse currently is, we're offsetting that by the set offset that we defined as being the middle of the cell, which was 1, 1, which should move that slightly to the top left. I think this bit is right, isn't it? This bit is actually drawing now the shape where the mouse is. Yeah. But when we rotate, it's rotating around the top left corner. Which means it's not really applying the point of rotation. Have I been like really stupid or something? Does this actually need to be in... It does, doesn't it? Oh, dear me. This is no good to us. This needs to be in actual pixels. So that would be... that would be 300 and... I'll tell you what. Put that in like that. Right, so now we're probably going to need our offsets putting back in as we did before, but you can now see we're rotating around the right place. Okay, good. So our offset is plus. Excuse me. I'm going to bring these back in. So the error there, for those that are still watching and not totally put off by this shameful display of ignorance, is that the center of rotation point is actually in pixel space of the decal, not in a normalized coordinate space. There we go. Berg12 subscription. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Just in time too. Oh, didn't realise we've actually run on. So now I need to make sure that we put this in the right place. So the cursor is, yeah, I've obviously got some things the wrong way around here. So I think looking like that. Or not. One of these is minus, one of them is plus. Is that right? I've lost track of where I'm up to. I've completely derailed myself here now with this. It's got far more complicated. I've even forgotten what problem I'm trying to solve. We're trying to draw this in the right place. And I'm just sort of stabbing at different offsets now. Why do we keep going up there? Right? It's not going to be up there. This is because previously we had this, needed this offset of 2 and 2 to centralize the shape, but we're kind of doing that now anyway by doing the center of rotation. Right, so that one is now out by 2, 2. Yeah, so we actually don't need any of that because our rotation center point has done that for us. But what we do need to update is where we're sticking that into the array. So you can see here now we're sort of centering specifically on the intersection of cells, which makes sense because that's the 0 point of that location. But we actually want to stagger that now by half a cell in each axis. So it's now plus OLC VF2D 0.5F 0.5F, and we'll probably not get around to it tonight, but we'll have to look at how we stick that into the array now when we add it into the overall shape. Why has that made absolutely no difference at all? V mouse, draw rotated decal. Oh, because that's V mouse is integer, and that was the one that won. There's a known grumble people have about the Pixel game engine. There is the ordering isn't quite the same as it is for normal C. Right, so there we go. Right, so we've actually managed to get that to sort of draw in the right place. But when I click, oh, it did. It actually did it. Now we just need to do the same thing for the rotation. Or we'll try and finish this off. Why not? We want to take all of that bit of code and replace this line here when we're drawing our normal module for the space station. We need some different numbers now. So this time it is the module position instead, which also needs to be cast. The asset is the same, scale is the same, but the rotation this time is coming from the module instance, is that right? And module instance dot n rotation. There we go. Let's try that. Yeah, we have a run on a little bit. I had to step out of the room for a little bit, so making up for that time. So if I click on you, oh great, it's put a big, whacking great big offset there. Let's try again. Right, so it looks like that one's always off by 2. Now that's probably when I'm clicking now on the cells. Sorry for the zoom out. It's just whilst I'm I'm looking. Yes, that's the problem though. We've got this sort of offset we've been putting in, but that's kind of dealt with elsewhere. At least I hope so. I'm sort of crossing my fingers a bit here. So that looks sensible. And we click. Well, all of those are out by 2. I'm going to undo. Undo and think about that off stream, I think. Why was it drawing it slightly offset? That's no good. Delete all offsets. Yeah, the offsets have become confusing. So I stick you in there, and you're actually inserted in a strange place there. Everything's all off by 2 to the top left. So I could do, really horrible hack. For example, I think, I think that might do it. But I don't know. I'm not sure of anything anymore. See, now I think it'll draw the doors in the wrong place. Oh, no, that one kind of worked. That one worked. That one worked. That one worked. Right, well, we got there in a rather unsatisfying way. Obviously, like last time, off stream, I'll go away and refactor all of this and tidy it up and try and make sense of it. But it does look like we can now place modules, but we can place them anywhere, and what we need to do next time is limit this to specifically only placing them where there are connection points. I call this stochastic programming. It's a fairly new technique developed by myself, where we just randomly try everything until we get the result that we need. The Monte Carlo programming method, it should also be called. Right, and with that, I think tonight I'm done. I think have a good weekend if I don't see you before. We should be here on Sunday, I think, and on Sunday we might be looking at releasing the latest Pixel Game Engine header file. Do a couple of little updates to it and get it out there, I think, for other people to use. So until then, have a good weekend and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.